on the floor, a beautiful Benaroya Hall, game 2 of this best of 3 coming up, Draskell. And I'll tell you what, man, game 1, it wasn't exactly a short game, wasn't like a 20-minute stomp or anything like that. But let's be real, it never really felt like IG had a chance. From the time things started going, you saw IG moving their supports around, trying to make things happen. I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes into the laning phase, and they kept coming up short. And that was the story of the entire game for them. No matter what they tried, DK was one step ahead, and by the time we hit that 30-minute mark, it was just completely out of control. They had no chance to play their way back in.
That's just what IG's draft was based on. If they found a pick and they found a tower, it could snowball extremely fast, but they just simply never got the opportunity. And I wanted to point out what Ben said is just stick to what your lineup is meant to do. I think that makes a lot of sense here, because even if you try to go mid and it doesn't work the first time, keep trying, because even if you aren't going to find the kill, at the very least you're not just kind of sitting in your woods and just farming away while an Enigma just gets free reign of his own jungle. The Enigma is going to get more out of it than you will pretty much no matter what. So it looks like for the second game we're actually going to see the Alchemist banned out by IG and DK take a very, very quick Razor pick here in game number 2.
Seeing the Razor pick up, we've seen a lot of teams flirt with that hero all throughout the preliminary stages. We saw a lot of teams even beginning to put ban priority on him. We saw him first banned a couple of times during our preliminary matches. And a big reason behind that is almost every hero you can name that is currently popular in the current metagame, so to speak, DK, Lifestealer, all of these strength heroes, the Alchemist, for example. Razor is just an excellent answer to that. Hell, even the Lone Druid. He's one of the few heroes who can go one-on-one with the Lone Druid in an off lane or a solo lane and come out ahead. And he just gives you he basically is a walking liability. He's something the enemy team has to account for from the very, very beginning because of the power of Static Link and the fact that it goes through Magic Community.
I love the Razor pick especially because it's one of the few heroes that can do okay against OD. I mean, Lone Druid is one of the other heroes that people commonly think to put in that 1v1, but Link still goes through it, even the Astral Imprisonment anyway, and it costs essentially no mana, which is a pretty big deal. Even at rank 4, I think it's like 50 mana to cast, and if you just buy a wand, you're going to be able to use it most of the time, as long as you time it properly. So we'll see how that matchup ends up, if it ends up happening. That was a weird sentence, but IG, they start off with 2 heroes that they're either going to be putting in the farm role. On the Weaver, of course, the OD is most likely going to be mid. DK leave themselves a little bit open. We actually haven't seen a Lifestealer ban just yet, which I find a little bit strange. IG probably weren't going to pick it after seeing the Razor regardless, because Razor is very good against Lifestealers. So a lot of opportunities for both teams still. I do think, personally for me, this is the first time I've gotten to see OD on the main stage. Or is it actually just the first game he's been picked?
I want to say it's the first he's been picked. Something like that. Either way, getting to see the hero here on the main stage, we're going to, and this is where it matters the most. OD's such an individual, skill kind of eccentric hero, understanding the matchups and so on and so forth. Like you said, the fact that Razor is in the mix, though, that's where we're probably going to end up watching or having our camera planted most of the time to watch that matchup there in mid. We can see the bans continuing to go out, not going to allow Invictus to use the same combination they did. DK takes out the tree, and of course, Anti-Mage and Spectre, as well as the Alchemist taken out by Invictus Gaming, trying to limit Super and Burning in their options of preferred heroes.
Well, AM is actually really good against IG's lineup already, just based on sheer mobility. Once he gets the BKB, OD becomes like a mana bomb, essentially, because he has so much mana because of his passive and the way that he builds, that if you end up ever catching him out, it's very, very hard to deal with him. So for right now, DK still have the opportunity to go aggressive. They have a Visage. They can even choose to pick the Lifestealer soon if they want to, because it hasn't been banned out just yet. Of course, the ball is in their court right now in that situation. But for IG, their lanes are actually pretty wide open as well. Like I said, there's only really one matchup that we can see right now, and that's probably going to be the Razor versus OD. And that's assuming that they don't want to give or pick a Lone Druid up for that. And it looks like we're going to see a Tinker ban actually coming out from DK.
Yeah, the Tinker ban, very interesting, a map control kind of a hero. And you see a ban like that, you don't want to read too much into it because it's so hard. I mean, there's so many things a hero like that can give an enemy team. But seeing them ban it out, you have to wonder. It's like, okay, you have a Visage, you have a Razor. These are 2 heroes. Razor, you just want to build tanky because he's going to get his damage via Static Link if he's played correctly. And then now they're going to grab a Rubik. So as of yet, not really revealing their main damage dealers, at least in the mid and late game. Razor can do some pretty decent damage with Plasma Field, Visage, of course, with Soul Assumption, going to give you some single target magical DPS. Rubik, the jack of all trades, really fits into any lineup. Invictus Gaming, though, with their 3rd pick coming up. And both of these teams, this is just feels like a very guarded draft to me. It seems like both teams certainly working towards something, just very hard to unveil what that is based on what we see right now.
At DK, though, by picking up the Rubik, I like this because especially against a Weaver, you can tell that DK have the experience. They were showing the stats. Burning's played Weaver multiple times during this tournament. And when you pick a Rubik, you can steal Shukuchi, you can use it as an initiation tool, and it allows you to get in and out of fights basically unscathed. What problem they had last game is that once Burning got a second item, the supports just fell prey to getting chased down. I mean, what did they do? They have no way of escaping. Whereas if you can steal Shukuchi on Rubik, you are not an easy target anymore.
Oh, no.
You are very elusive, you're hard to get a hold of, and plus you can go in, you can start the fight on somebody like Weaver, maybe look to burst following up with a Visage, and then you can go from there. So I do like that quite a bit from DK. IG's answer is going to be a Naga Siren, probably going to be a support given the fact that they already have a Weaver and the OD. But of course, the Weaver could go in a 1v1 role, and they could just start forming their tri-lane right now. But we'll have to see what DK pick, I think, before IG decide what they're going to.
I just want to point out, how long has it been in any competitive match that you've seen it go this late? We're coming down to our fourth position picks. Lifestealer and Dragon Knight both. And say in the last 2 or 3 weeks, how long has it been since you've seen those heroes make it this deep without being picked or banned? But as you mentioned, it makes a ton of sense. We're going to get to see Enigma again. A hero again, as Melk was telling us whenever he was looking back at last year, that one of the most impactful heroes in the entire hero pool. Then he just kind of fell off. A lot of his jobs and a lot of what he gives you were just kind of popularized on other heroes. Puck is a good example. Magnus, certainly. Magnus had his heyday for a long time until recently the changes to bottle crowing, and he kind of fell off with all but a few teams. But Enigma, of course, that big game-changing ultimate. But DK, again, they certainly made it work last time, but this time, again, the damage has got to be a big concern. They're going to have some kind of a heavy hitter, some kind of an AoE nuker, something like that to round out their lineup. Otherwise, I just feel like they're going to be very thin against the team that has a Naga Siren, no less. So even if they do get the advantage, so unless they catch Naga with one of the, and in terms of stuns, what do they have? They have Telekinesis, they have Black Hole, they have Malefice. They're excellent. Other than that, right now, granted, Invictus Gaming doesn't have that many either, but they do have the Naga. So in terms of disabling and getting into fights and getting an advantage, Naga Siren is going to have to be a priority target. And if she if she positions herself appropriately, DK could find themselves in a position where it's really difficult to execute the game plan they want to execute.
Well, I'm not sure if I agree with the lacking damage right now, because unlike last game, there's a Rubik with a Fade Bolt, Plasma Field, you can Static Link, and then Soul Assumption. The combination of Razor Nuke, a Rubik, Fade Bolt, and Visage is actually quite a huge chunk of damage. You can easily pick a support, and because the Naga Siren is going to be a support, the song is going to be coming in a little bit later than normal. So even with a level 1 song, it's a 3-minute cooldown. So you better be really sure that you want to use that song if you end up doing it. And the other thing, too, is after the Enigma pick, the Rubik was kind of like a buffer to pick that hero, where normally I think that IG would have very easily been able to fit Rubik into their lineup. It makes it so when you pick the Enigma, you don't just counterpick straight away. And Vengeful Spirit, as good as Swap is against Black Hole, it did not do anything for IG in the last game. Let's be honest. I mean, that Vengeful Spirit couldn't even get in range to stop the Black Hole if she wanted to because of how scary DK's lineup is. And I kind of feel like it's the same way this time. How do you walk into the kind of lineup that DK has? Of course, they're not going to have Tree this time, but they have a lot of AoE spam abilities. They have Midnight Pulse, and then they have Visage who can help burst. So DK for Game 2, they're picking kind of a similar style to what they did before, but this time it has a little bit more burst potential. The only question is, who is actually going to be making the mech on their team right now? Because with 2 supports and a Razor, it looks like this Enigma is going to either be sacking his lane completely or be forced into a 1v1.
Waiting to see our farming pickup. Certainly Burning, the one most likely lacking his hero right now. We will see the Bounty Hunter banned out by DK, anticipating Invictus Gaming wanted to play a very aggressive style, and certainly the Bounty ban suits with that. Looking at IG's lineup, though, again, whenever it just comes down to damage output, Weaver and OD both going to be helped by Vengeance Aura coming off of Vengeful Spirit. And OD, again, one of those heroes who is very, very happy until people begin to build BKBs. Right now, both Razor and Enigma are 2 heroes who can very viably build a BKB. And Razor in particular going to be looking to latch on to most likely the OD above the Weaver. But, usually a 4-staff considered a core item on the OD for exactly that reason. He's a hero that doesn't have any innate mobility, but certainly wants it. He wants to have access to it to keep himself alive, especially against, as you said, a bursty kind of a team. Not a lot of sustain unless Razor's able to sap a lot of damage, but still waiting to see what hero Burning's likely to land himself on.
There's a couple of choices here, but they've banned out pretty much 3 heroes that he loves to play, the AM, the Spectre, the Gyrocopters, so not going to have access to any of those. But for IG, I'm a little bit more curious as to what their game plan is. I mean, you have a Naga Siren support, you have a Vengeful Spirit, 2 heroes that aren't really spectacular laners in the early game. The one nice thing this game, though, for IG is that if they do end up going in a passive lane, while the Enigma might be able to farm his jungle if necessary, at least getting Naga Siren 6 is a bit more impactful than the supports last game. So DK is going to go with the Lone Druid. So we could end up seeing the Razor just part of the tri-lane here, and the Lone Druid go 1v1 mid against the OD, and that adds a lot of extra push potential to DK's lineup. It's going to be very difficult right now for IG to stop that bear, because what method really do they have of killing him? Until the OD gets some levels, his damage output's not going to be that great. You really need Arcane Orb if you want to try to take it down. So I feel as though DK have this possibility of just going for some really early towers if they get a good start.
No, I completely agree with you. That Lone Druid pickup just gives this lineup so much push. Once Visage hits 6, he has his familiars about. Enigma, of course, with the Eidolon push, and the fact that Razor's a very difficult hero to engage into, especially if he has an Enigma behind him. And Invictus Gaming going to go ahead and grab us a Windrunner. So looking at what IG's going to be able to bring out here, they do have a pretty decent number of disables now. They're going to have a Magic Missile on the Vengeful Spirit, Naga Siren's Net, Windrunner with Shackle Shot potentially, one of the best 2 target stuns in the entire game, and OD if you want to count Astral Imprisonment. So they're going to have a lot of ways to isolate targets from DK, a lot of ways to prioritize targets, but once again, DK going to have access to that one big game-changing spell, the Black Hole that we saw in Game 1. Really 2 of them. All it took was 2, maybe 3 if you want to count the Roche Pit, but largely just the one at the beginning, the very first one he threw in the river, and the one at the end right as they took down the racks, and that was all it needed.
Yeah, and I mean, when you get a 4-man Black Hole that early in the game, that's huge.
Right.
Because it's before anyone has enough durability to really live through it. So if he can manage to have that kind of performance 2 games in a row, power to him, because that was a really sick game he had. But also remember that it was because of the draft, too. Because when they first walked in, they had to push. There was really no other choice that IG had in that game 1. Whereas I feel this game, they can kind of stretch it out a little bit. I think that it's going to be more or less even during the mid game. It really depends on how the lanes go, I think, for DK. The same game plan is kind of in effect. You want to try to make it stable. You want to get your Enigma at least 1 core item if he is going to be going the mech, or if the Razor's going to be getting it, or even if they want to just put it on the Visage instead, if they decide to dodge, which right now looks like it could be a possibility. There are a lot of options, actually, for DK.
Taking a look at DK's lineup as well, you know, Zoe obviously going to be one of their other high priority targets. The OD, at least until and unless he gets a Force Staff or some kind of mobility item, once you get on top of him, you can really just rely that you're going to be able to kill him. He is not the tankiest hero by his very nature, but he just does a lot of damage. But when you look at what DK is going to have to try and isolate, in particular, the Weaver, Malefice actually works remarkably well at that when you couple it with something like Telekinesis, these spells that are disables and stuns, but they, you know, not just the duration, but the way you can chain them together pretty easily. Being able to get a Telekinesis off of a Malefice. Grave Chill, of course, only works so much. But in particular, the Root, the Lone Druid, and his ability to sick the bear on the Weaver, and all it takes is one little piece of RNG love, and that Weaver is locked down to the ground and ready to be chewed up. So we're going to hear the horns blow on both sides of the river. Doesn't look like we're going to have any early first blood attempts, so we'll run through the lineup, see who's handling who. We'll have Faith on the Vengeful Spirit. We're going to have Zoe setting up shop here on Weaver in mid. We're actually going to have Ferrari 430 making his way to the solo lane, safe lane on that OD. Naga Siren going to be handled by Chuan, very anticipated there. And YYF will be playing on our Windrunner across the river, burning the living legend in what will be his final season of Dota, making his bid for the grand finals here of the International 2013 and doing it on the Lone Druid. He'll be isolated one-on-one in the off lane. Going to have Razor, played by Super. The Visage, going to be backing him up. That's played by QQQ. Enigma, going to be handled here in mid. Been a while since I've seen a mid Enigma. He's going to be played by ROTK. And Rubik, going to be played by MMY.
The thing about Mid Enigma is you get the free denies, and he is actually going for a bottle as well. So even though he's actually giving away quite a few of his Eidolons, actually, you really don't want to do that against Zhao. You do not want to lose that many. I think this matchup might go favorably for him if he keeps getting those free picks like that. Getting one deny is definitely not worth losing 2 or 3 of those because they're worth almost as much as a lane creep anyway. So RTK is going to have to be careful about how he makes trades in this middle lane. And then bottom, it's a Lone Druid versus an OD. Normally, I would say that OD does okay in this matchup, so does the Lone Druid. It comes down to player play, more or less. Like, if you do well on Lone Druid, you should be able to edge out OD eventually, especially once you hit 5. Get a couple of entangles, send him packing, and he really won't have much to do. But the thing that's really interesting is the fact that IG were going top for a while and they decided not to. They decided to dodge completely. They don't want to go against the Visage, the Rubik, and that Razor tri-lane that we were talking about before. So interesting lanes. This is actually a little bit different than what I was expecting, but we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I think the one thing we relied on was Burning going to the off lane. We can see Chuan obviously over in the woods trying to suck up what experience he can. We'll go ahead and double pull here as well. And, for the most part, Burning going to be able to hang and bang. He's sitting at level 2.5 at the moment and making his way down into the river. Going to check the 2-minute rune. It will be spawning. It's going to be a haste rune, so he'll happily pick that up and take off running here towards mid. We'll see exactly what he plans to do. The bear obviously trailing behind. But, yeah, just coming to soak up some experience. It looks like they're going to go ahead and rotate ROTK into the woods.
Well, they had to move Burning because they noticed the supports weren't up top anymore. They obviously walked bottom, so he can't stay there. It's very, very easy to die in that situation, and rather than dying, he would rather just go mid, soak some experience, be able to potentially get some CS and guard the runes from Zoe, hopefully. So not exactly an ideal start for the Lone Druid at least, but they had in mind sacrificing a Lone Druid anyway from the start, so I don't think it's too big of a deviation. And RTK on Enigma clearly is not going to have any issue jungling, so not a huge loss for DK, but the one thing they have to worry about now is that Ferrari is going to get total uncontested farm as this OD in the bottom lane. So the Razor versus the OD farming. OD actually has pretty big impact. He might be the mech carrier for his team as well, so he can get it extremely fast. Most mech timings are anywhere from like 6 to 8 minutes, depending on how good a CS you actually have, and I'm sure Ferrari's is going to be right on time. So I don't know. This is a little bit strange. We're seeing the offlane Windrunner. Haven't seen many Windrunners this tournament either. Well, I guess right now he's actually in the woods. It's not technically offlane if you're not in the offlane, but that was his original role here.
Very often, especially on the Radiant side, if you see an offlane Windrunner, it's not so much an offlane Windrunner as a let's go and farm the Ancients Windrunner. Just cut the trees down and you can do the cool little thing where you drag them through. And so far he's not doing that. He's just kind of hanging out at the mid-camp doing what he can there. And another game one that's coming up on 4 minutes. We've seen very little attempts at aggression. It looks like we might have our first underway. QQQ and MMY neither have a smoke. They're just going to move through the river, and they have the river very well warded. They have that sentry, so they feel confident that this was not spotted. Problem is, nobody's home. Zoe's there in mid. The Windrunner is elsewhere. Chuan and Faith doing their thing down in the river, waiting on the regen rune to spawn. So looks like they're just going to go ahead and try to take a shot at the tower. But the Enigma coming out of the jungle. A lot of push power here, and this is what we were talking about. And this is even well before QQQ hits level 6. Once he hits level 6, the push power of this lineup is just going to go absolutely through the roof.
I like this decision by DK, especially considering RTK got that extra little bit of experience for being middle. Obviously, middle is going to give you more experience than any other lane just because of the fact that you don't get zoned by one hero ever, whereas the off lane, you're going to be against a situation where you can't really get EXP. So they make the best of it. They just rotate as soon as he hits 5, and they go for the quick tier 1. But IG react by going for tier 1 as well, and they're going to get a bear kill. So Faith gets 300 gold. That's definitely something that he's going to be pretty happy about, I think. But I don't think they're going to be able to get the tier 1 mid.
Bizarre bear kill. Burning was running away, and the bear just was kind of hanging out with very little health, and just basically he fed it to him. This very weird lapse of mechanics there out of Burning, and not something you're used to seeing out of a veteran like that. 5 minutes in, they do end up trying the trade towers here on bottom. Burning has rotated back down there. Now we're going to have Faith and Chuan looking for first blood. He spotted out. Chuan with the Riptide, couple of auto attacks might be enough. There's the plasma field. Burning will end up being first blood. And Faith going to be able to make it away. Chuan not so lucky. So DK gives up first blood, and it was Burning, but they get the return kill that time on Chuan.
I was really close to getting a bear block right there. He was just out of position with it to stop the Naga Siren from getting in. So a bit unfortunate, and I believe it was not level 5, so he didn't even have the chance for an entangle. The big problem actually is that now for 100 seconds, this is a bearless bear, which is a problem.
It's Snare on the super. He has no mana. MMY is there as well. They're doing good damage. Telekinesis brings Ferrari back. He'll be cleaned up. Magic Missile on the super. He's locked down. Can they clean him up? They will. Faith gonna end up being the trade. That's gonna be a double kill going to MMY. 5 kills on the board in a 6-minute game, 2-3. DK takes the kill lead.
Honestly, I'd say that DK were in a pretty good spot right now if it hadn't been for Burning dying. I mean, the poor guy still has over a minute before he can resummon. So he's forced to walk top. He's got to do creep pulling to try to recover. He definitely needs to get some levels. He's only 4 now, and at 6.5 minutes in, the person he was supposed to be originally laning against on the OD is actually level 6. And Ferrari bought a Midas recipe. Very, very interesting choice, considering DK has an Enigma and a Lone Druid, and he wants to go for a Midas. I'm not really sure about that one, but we'll see if it works.
Yeah, seeing Ferrari pick up the Midas, I mean, and we've seen him before. He is not shy about that item on any variety of heroes he likes to take mid. But in this particular situation, you wonder, what is he just not worried about the push potential coming out of DK? Coming out of DK, how can you not be? When you look at the bear, I mean, yes, maybe it's a response to the fact that he just knew Burning sacrificed so much earlier. He rotated to mid, got very little done, and he's still struggling. Like you said, he actually still hasn't resummoned his bear. Still going to take a little bit of more time, another 10 seconds or so, for him to get the bear back up. And without him, really, DK can push, but it's certainly not going to be like it could be otherwise. And I think that's probably his line of thinking is, you know what, Burning's not going to be in shape, so how about I just put myself in a position to be in better shape when he actually does catch up.
Well, the Midas and OD is also kind of good because it gives you more levels. That is actually one of the carry heroes who needs levels a lot. You want max Imprisonment, you want max Essence Aura and your Orb as well because it gives you so much extra damage, and getting level 2 Sandays is bad either, but YYF top.
Black Hole going to be spent, grabs the Windrunner. First Black Hole of the match, ROTK pulling the trigger. And now DK doubling up the opposition, off to a great start. That's going to be 4-2. Looks like in mid we're going to have Visage picked off as well. So IG giving as good as they're getting. They end up getting one of their own.
And they're going to be able to at least force a TP here. There's no glyph on the side of DK, so they need to react right now or they're probably not going to be able to defend. Here comes a TP. It's going to be the Razor. Should be more than enough to force them back. And Super is actually level 8 right now, so he's not doing too bad. His CS is second highest right now, second to only the Weaver. So Zoe's doing quite well himself. The one thing that's big here is MMY is 6. He's actually almost 7. And the Naga Siren's only level 5, and the Venge isn't even level 5 because of that double kill bottom. So that actually makes it really difficult for them to deal with such an over-leveled Rubik, and he actually managed to steal time-lapse too, which is interesting. I'm not entirely sure if he wanted that or if he was trying to get Shukuchi, but still, over-leveled supports, if you're DK, is actually a really, really nice thing.
And DK beginning to rattle their saber a little bit here in mid. And really at this, I mean, even with Burning, lacking the farm and the start that he certainly wants. I mean, when you take a look at the net worth, Burning, well, actually, he's not in nearly as bad a shape as you would think. He's actually ahead of the OD, so that's just Burning being Burning somehow, even though a little bit of a shaky start, still finding a way to be relevant. Already has his phase boots up. He's kind of being left to his own devices now. The bear going to go ahead and grab some creeps and the such, but here in mid, Super, MMY, and QQQ in particular are in a position, and largely because, as you said, those over-leveled supports, they can look to play a little bit aggressive here and try to punish any kind of poor positioning out of IG. Chuan, though, just short of level 6. He will have Song of the Siren up very, very soon. And you can just see the damage. Whenever you get caught with Plasma Field and it's right at the edge of the diameter of that circle, yeah, it's pretty tough.
Well, once Chuan hits 6, the nice thing is Song is fantastic against Black Hole. Like, you don't have to be anywhere near the team fight, really, if you're Chuan. If you want to go in, throw an ensnare, back up, wait for the Black Hole, you can wait all day because ROTK either goes in or they lose a massive team fight utility, and you can pretty much just sit there while your Weaver and your OD try to clean things up. So we'll see how IG decide to play it. They haven't really been able to get any towers, which is a bit of a bummer. DK, in the meantime, they smoke up. They're going towards bottom. Ferrari is onto it. I think he should be able to TP away from this. Oh, he's not TPing.
Comes back out, going to be spotted out. No way Ferrari can get away. Very well executed, very well timed out of DK, getting a clutch death. And that's one of those deaths where you say, okay, now how do I feel about this Midas? Okay, I got this Midas, but now I'm delayed a little bit. Now the window of opportunity for IG is going to be there. And for all that it gives you, you still want, again, a mobility item. I'm not saying a Force Staff would have saved him there, but I don't think it's a stretch to say at some point coming up very soon, he will want an item like that. And for the cost of a Midas, he could damn near have one.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured he would go for the mech just because he's the only one on his team who is going to reliably be getting enough farm to actually build it. And if you look at an Enigma and a Razor and a Lone Druid, these are heroes that don't like to sit back and do nothing. They like to try to pressure to some extent, and honestly, DK could have been pressuring a little bit more, I think, if they wanted to, but they just feel like they don't have to. They've managed to kill Ferrari twice now. He's still going to have a while before he's going to fully recover. They're actually scared to the point where Faith right now and Chuan were smoked behind him just because they were assuming that DK were going to try to gank again. So the support's not necessarily spending their most effective time. And RTK with the hole.
Up here, the hole, going to catch Zoe. And there's a telekinesis right after Burning's right there, and Super coming in to notch the kill under his own belt. He leads in net worth and ends up notching that kill for himself. So IG going to try to respond now by shoving down the tier 2 bottom. That's going to prompt a response. That will be the Enigma, of course, without Black Hole. His efficacy in these fights going to be quite limited. We can already see just how hard Ferrari's beginning to hit, even with just the Midas. Get the pure damage coming from his aura, or his orb, excuse me. But they are going to go ahead and decide to pull back as we see a mass reaction on the DK. And this is just IG being smart, just knowing, just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not coming, and not wanting to get caught out in a side swipe kind of emotion.
And the thing is, OD still needs more time. He got his treads, which is pretty good. And I do like his Skidvolt, actually, because there's no real reason to get imprisonment if you're not actually laning against anybody. And they more or less left him alone during the beginning of the game. So he will eventually recover. It's just how much time DK are going to choose to give him. And we can see that Super is rushing his way towards that BKB. Going to be a really good choice. It's going to force the Naga to go for ensnares on him, because if he's able to move around in the fights and he gets a good static link off, IG have to run. Like, they can't take a prolonged fight against that hero, especially now with the Enigma picking up a mech. The Razor's damage will just simply be too much, and the Weaver doesn't really have anything yet. Like, his CS isn't bad. He's actually leading the board right now. He's got 77, but he only has treads and an Aquila and 1,500 gold. So if he has to go for a BKB as well, which I don't even think is a good choice this game, I'm just not really sure what the Weaver's going to be doing during the mid-game phases. Yeah,
speaking of BKB and what that's going to bring to this DK team, and you look at IG's damage output, for the most part, it is magic-based. They're really a spam-happy team with Riptide and Power Shot and Shikuchi and even to a lesser extent Magic Missile. Of course, they do have some very solid pure damage slash right-click damage, that hybrid damage that you get out of an OD. But again, going with that Midas, he's going to feel a little bit thin at this point. IG eventually will be able to turn this Weaver into that right-click machine that we saw Burning become in Game 1. But if Super's able to get that BKB up soon enough, they're just really not going to have many sources of damage at all outside of the OD. And if he's focus fired, they're just out of ways to fight. We are going to see IG now smoke up. And Zoe shows himself a little bit. The Visage Familiars will spot it out, so doesn't look like DK is going to get caught this time.
Well, that's a pretty good thing for DK. They're okay with playing passive, I think, for a while. The one thing you have to be careful of is now the Naga Siren is 6, there's the opportunity that IG can actually start taking some team fights, because again, it's really easy to counter things like Black Hole with Song of the Siren. You can pick and choose your fights, and obviously if you're able to take advantage from it, you can very easily somersault that into a tier 1 tower. So they are going to be going mid here. IG is grouped up. Glyph is popped, but I'm pretty sure this is a free tower.
Trying to do something cute using the Visage Familiars, but free tower. Familiar's going to be back up and killed off immediately. And DK being forced back to the tier 2s in every lane but top. Burning, of course, holding down the fort up there. But we can see how defensive DK is playing right now. If you look at your mini-map, this has basically been where they've occupied for quite some time now. And granted, IG is now falling back, and we're going to have one of those patches of time where both teams are very likely to just, farm up a core item or two. But the posturing and everything about it, definitely in favor of IG. And it looks like DK's ready, or excuse me, DK. And looks like they're ready to continue to press that issue. And DK ready to move, heading towards this tier 1. IG likely to get Doe. Ferrari under his own tower, doesn't have a lot of help anywhere in the vicinity. Here we go, they're going to go for it. Once again, telekinesis, there's a Maleficent to follow it up. He does get off the Astral Imprisonment. No reaction as he's dead to rights. And as an indication of just how good DK's movement has been, that's the 3rd time now that IG has just been like, we can't do anything. Like, it is such good movement and such good timing that they know they're too out of position. They know if they TPN, they're going to be waiting with the Black Hole. And yeah, they just literally can't do anything. Now they're going to try to push down top. We're going to see Super show up and get the deny and the static link on the Zoe. He tries to time-lapse it. He is hitting so hard. If he can just get his hands on him, there we go. So now he's going to spot. Look how hard he hits the one right click he got off. But Super unable to keep a beat on him as Zoe continues to do what a Weaver does. There's a lot of personnel making their way to this top lane from both teams now. Faith looking to back his buddy up, and all 5 from DK heading this way. Unfortunately, the fight they're looking for not going to be finding them, as IG has 3 in mid and bottom.
The thing that's really scary for IG is once they lose their mid-tier 1, it's almost a free Roshan for DK. How are you going to stop them inside of the Rosh pit outside of trying to song in and maybe go for a steal? That's probably going to be their only option. The Visage is going to have his medallion done by the time they do it as well. And I don't know how Ferrari didn't think that he was going to die there. There was nobody on the map, and the lane mid was pushed past the river, and nobody was farming a lane top either. It was always just split pushing. There was 0 heroes on the map for quite a while. So I thought that was actually fairly obvious. But nonetheless, DK is still looking pretty solid here. I don't know necessarily what IG are planning. Do they want to play aggressive? Do they want to try to go for something? Of course, they've taken all the tier 1s down from BK as well, but dire positioning advantage leaves Roshan a little bit more wide open to them. And the aggressive warding coming out from DK, it sees everything that's going on right now. So whenever they want to try to go for Roshan or the tier 1, they can definitely make their move. And it looks like it's going to be the mid.
Clearing the creeps in mid, clearing them en masse. The mid tier 1 is still standing, and DK looking to change that fact. Taking a look at the bear. Still lacking any real big items. It looks like Burning is going to be going for a Radiance Rush, which I really don't mind at all in this situation. You have 2 heroes, maybe 3, but 2 for the most part that would build a BKB. That would be the Weaver and the OD, of course. But certainly not on the way for either of them, at least at the moment. The Weaver played by IG. Zoe looking for that Lincoln Sphere build almost certainly. But speaking of BKB, Razor gets his. Now, again, at this stage of the game, very little right-click damage has been built. We're actually going to see a medallion picked up by Visage just as the BKB comes out as well. So being able to focus fire down these targets just became quite a bit easier for DK.
And not only that, but we have a bear that's going to be receiving a relic soon. Burning is sitting on top of pretty much 3,800 gold on the money. Once his tower dies, he'll definitely be able to buy it. So it becomes really scary for IG. You have to have really good initiation. Went for a shackle on the bear. Think they might just try to go and kill it, but not going to be successful. And what do you do if you're IG? Your form of initiation right now pretty much has to be Song. That's like one of the only ways, and you don't want to have to initiate that way.
We see Rubik got a gift. Now they're going to catch him. They're going to try to mech through it. There's the OD ult drop. But now the telekinesis is going to be able to haste away. 4 staff shown off for the first time. But DK turned away. The tower still sitting at 372 HP. Very effective job there, in all honesty, of zoning them back off the tower. And DK, again, pulling back. Now, it's easy to get caught up. I mean, DK 7-3, yeah, that looks nice. The gold, though, is very much in favor of IG. Not a huge insurmountable lead at 20 minutes, but 2,000, 2,500, worth mentioning. About 2,000 experience going the way of DK nonetheless. But yeah, this is what we talked about when it comes down to these teams. It really is just going to be an execution-based match. And so far, Burning waiting on the Relic, now it finally is on the Bear. That's about as big an item as we're going to see for a while, because, well, that and the Radiance. Once the Radiance comes out, things could change very, very quickly, and we could see IG, if they make any mistakes at all, with a team that is building, not damaged, but is having their damage mitigated. That Radiance burn on that, as you said, it was already hard enough for them to try and take a fight against DK, now going to be twice as hard.
Especially considering the supports they have. I mean, Naga Siren has been using Ensnare relatively aggressively. Sometimes they go for the bear, but the thing is, when you have Radiance burn and you have heroes with no escapes like Vengeful Spirit and no BKB on the OD, over the course of even 10 seconds, this OD only has 800 health. I'm sure he's on Intreads right now. He'll have a little bit more once he decides to switch, but he really is going to need a BKB just to be able to live. If he gets focused, he's going to have his supports use Song immediately or swap him right away. It's going to be very difficult for him to live through these engagements. And also mid, I wanted to say really quick that MMY actually had Imprisonment stolen. That's why the Visage didn't actually get destroyed right there. So
here we go, DK ready to push down the tier 1 mid. Not going to be any contesting of it. IG2 split up. OD, Ferrari looking to perhaps split push, and Zoe with the same thing in mind. That's going to force a reaction. We'll see Vengeful Spirit activate an Invis rune. She finds the 20-minute rune down in bottom, but Ferrari trying to bait him back out. Burning, smelling a rat. He's pulled back up at top. We got another smoke coming out from DK. This time I'm going to try to catch Zoe. And Zoe going to go ahead and pull back behind the enemy tower. There we go, MMY stealing Shukuchi, trying to track him down. Kind of got juked and turned around, so not going to be able to do anything there. Down at bottom, looks like Faith came up empty on his gank attempt as well. Now Zoe, ooh, very close. No vision, no gem, no sentry. Or he probably could have been telekinesis there instead. If nothing else, what DK succeeding in doing is freeing up the map for burning. He now finishes the most appropriate item for his hero ever in the Radiance.
He does get his Radiance, but it's pretty late. I mean, it's 21.5 minutes in, so it's not the fastest Radiance in the world. Given his start, though, it's actually not that bad. And he doesn't even have boots on his bear right now. Oh, Black Hole.
Black Hole spin on Zoe. Another single target Black Hole, and they get him before he can time lapse. Very important kills, and DK not just getting the kills now, though. They're going to have to try to defend their bottom tower or at least push through to the top tier 2. They're going to come in. Super's going to be there. We're going to see the Force Staff on Ferrari. Burning there. And Song of the Siren from Chuan prevented any attempt. In the meantime, though, looks like, yeah, the Razor managing to track down a kill elsewhere. So DK netting the Venge kill, and they're going to go right for Roshan. Now, this is where that medallion comes in. Should be a pretty damn fast Roshan.
Visage isn't actually here right now, though. He needs to get over there. He's on his way right now, so he should be able to use it from the high ground. It's pretty long range. Yep, there we go. So it should be a pretty easy Roshan, actually, from IG. It's going to take him way too long to react. This is, again, the benefit of not having any Tier 1 towers on your opponent's side of the map. This is pretty much going to be an Aegis for burning. They might honestly give it to Super. Not sure if they're going to give it to burning or Super, but we'll see here in a second. The Linken's is actually done, by the way, on the Weaver, so that's going to be relatively helpful just in stopping the initiation with a lift coming out from the Rubik, because of course the Rubik has had Shukuchi stolen for some time, so MMY doing a nice job of prioritizing that. But we're going to see IG group up top, and Ferrari actually picks up a Mystic Staff, so he's not going to be going for the BKB. Also makes Radiance Burn still pretty relevant during these fights, and I think DK are actually in really good shape to defend this.
Completely agree with you. That's kind of what we're waiting to see. DK has yet to really put the full picture together for us. I mean, they're tripling the kill score of IG. You take a look at the gold graph, you can see they have actually erased that 2,500 gold lead that IG had amassed, and the experience is actually the most in favor of them it's been all game. And Zoe playing far forward. There's a Linken's popped. Super's there, but all MMY could do is take Shukuchi and send them on their way, so they will make it back to safety. Score's going to remain 3-9 at least for now.
And the unfortunate thing about that Linken's for DK is, just like I was saying, it makes it so much easier for Zoe to play aggressive because he knows that there's only really one form of initiation that DK have until the Enigma manages to get a Blink Dagger. But RTK, of course, is going for the BKB, so it's going to be quite some time before that's going to be the case. And the longer that he can stay out on the map and the more annoying he can be in terms of split push, the more room it's going to create for Ferrari to keep putting things in his inventory. And I'm pretty sure Hex is going to be the next choice. His damage output's going to start to get a little bit crazy. And that's one thing that I like about OD against Lone Druid is you can kill the bear so fast once you get a few items on OD because of the fact that the Arcane Orb damage is pure. So the bear's armor doesn't mean anything. You pretty much just chew through it.
Zoe living on the edge a little bit, spotted out, pinged out. Going to move on back into the enemy jungle. We can see YYF and his buddy Chuan doing what they can here in the jungle. Support's got to stick together. That's actually going to be a Force Staff done on YYF. And that's a very important item to have two. Up at the top, we're going to have an engagement on the Zoe again. He time lapses away this time, and they're unable to catch him. DK coming up short that time. That's the kind of ganks they've been executing all game long. That time, Zoe just with a little bit of a break. That's why ganking a Weaver is so hard when he has his ult available. He does have level 2 ult at this point. So, I mean, it's just so hard to be able to get a gank off when all you have to do is spam one key. And if there's any break in the chain of initiation, you're probably going to get away. And they're going to try to get him again. Got him. Telekinesis brings him back. Visage Familiars are there. What amazing timing. Zoe, Force Staff though. YYF gets into safety. Was just talking about how important an item that was going to be against this lineup of DK, and we see it immediately. Zoe getting some help from YYF at just the right moment.
Man, what a save. The Mech 2 just in time, man. That was really, really huge. Oh, they're going to catch Burning bottom.
Burning, going to be blown up, has no escape, can do nothing but watch his Aegis evaporate. Ferrari banging away on the bear. And here he comes back up. They're going to try. Oh, dropping the hammer! Faith and Ferrari, both Gonna make it away. Actually, Super does manage to pick off the Venge. But a huge ulti coming out from IG. Once Burning respond off the Aegis. And yeah, see ya Aegis, see ya Burning. We're at 26 minutes in. We got 14 kills on the board. And the goal graph just about as close to 0 as you could possibly ask. This game a much closer affair than game 1.
That was such a smart play by Ferrari, too. He knew that when the Aegis respawns a Lone Druid, he doesn't start out in true form, so he had basically no health when he got in. So he uses the Sanity's Eclipse straight away, drops him to, 20% in one hit, and then he just goes straight down. So unfortunately, they lost the VS in the process. But when you lose an Aegis and the Bear like that, it's a pretty big deal, because they need him to be alive for pushes, and he's one of the best heroes in their team right now for pushing towers. And this game is still way, way too close to call. The one thing that is the great equalizer, though, for DK is the black hole. Is can they get a decent one? Because BKB and Mech both done, probably going to be seeing a Blink Dagger come out next. It's just going to depend on what targets they can hit. Ideally, you want to get the Naga Siren, because if you don't, you can always have to worry about, even if you catch a black hole and you're BKB'd, if the song comes out, the rest of your team can't help you. It's too hard to initiate after the fact unless MMY is in some ridiculous position to manage to go for a steal or something, which is still very hard to do. But still, DK going to be the aggressors, and Super picks up an Aghanim, so now his ulti's going to be hitting some towers and doing quite a bit of damage.
Tier 2 mid, melting down very quickly. And IG already beginning to feel a bit hemmed in. Zoe is split pushing top. Won't be able to bring the tower down. Looks like they want to pursue, and they do. Chuan, look how grouped up they are, but not going to take advantage of it. No way they can without the Weaver there. And really a missed opportunity. The Weaver split pushing was unable to bring the tower down. His absence at that tower prevented what could have been a very fortuitous turn of events. Instead, DK takes a free tier 2. They withdraw. Quite happy, hats in hand, back to their side of the river.
Oh, Aghanim's Razor is so strong for pushing. It just increases how fast you kill the towers so quickly. I think the strike interval is like less than a half a second with an Aghanim's, and it does quite a bit of damage. So every time they have that ulti, they can walk into a tower, just pop it, spam the wave down with Plasma Field and Fade Bolt, and just keep applying pressure. And engaging into it's actually quite difficult as well. You start to get hit a few times, and you can drop really, really quick. And not only that, but just having an Aghanims in general gives you more tankiness that Razor just innately needs.
You're gonna see IG go headhunting. They're smoked up in their own jungle. And they're gonna try, looks like they're gonna try to loop around and try to find someone at the dire side Ancients. And Might is gonna be used by Ferrari before they decide to depart. Were 3 of them, now there are only 2. In the meantime, at top, QQQ and Burning doing their thing. We see Zoe gonna be heading back home. But again, another one of those quiet patches here in the tail end of the mid game, and we can see it looks like a little bit of a ping taking place on the tier 2. Finally, now IG looks like they picked their target. They're going to go ahead and group up and look to bring down this tier 2 bottom. Only 685 HP, and currently DK really, unless they just mass TP, in no position to try and come stop them.
I don't think they will stop it. I mean, they could. They have a glyph. But, oh, no, we're already going to see a TP. It looks like it's going to be MMY going to mid, so maybe they do want to try to defend this. They are going to pop the glyph, but no one else is reacting just yet. Oh, here we go.
1 TP comes in. That's Super. Very scary at this point. His ulting, as you mentioned, not just good for pushing, but in general, a really nice team fight ability. And Zoe really playing chest out Dodet there in mid. Burning's going to TP in and hook back up with his buddies. The rest of IG, though, they're running together too, down in their own friendly jungle. And you can just tell both of these teams want to make no mistakes. Both of these teams are not really taking all that many risks. They're simply playing tight, good, professional Dota. And even though only 14 kills in a 30-minute game, still a lot of fun to watch.
Just the movement around the map is what's the most interesting part of this game. You know, what teams are prioritizing, what they want to try to get accomplished. Roshan's going to be up in a couple of minutes, so that's probably going to be the next target here for DK. The one thing that you don't want to have happen if you're IG is not have the map control or the positioning to try to contest the next Roshan. So we could be seeing them potentially go for another smoke relatively soon. Actually, DK are the ones who are going to be the ones who smoke first. This might be a tiny bit early to get Roshan, but at the very least, if they force IG off their side of the map and maybe even get a kill, should be quite good for them.
They are going to head to the high ground, bypassing the pit. Looks like IG sniffs it, though. A general feeling of something sinister in the air, and they withdraw, keep themselves safe, at least for the moment. And DK just going to continue to run through, right hot on their tail. Taking a look at Zoe. Zoe with his Lincolns now has 3,300 gold as well. Could potentially be looking to buy a Radiance of his own. We'll find out soon enough, but IG very, very close to the enemy. We'll see if they do happen to get acquainted. No. Looks like IG will go ahead and hang on. MMY leading the way, does not have Shukuchi. Never mind. Thought he was going to try to pursue them out instead. IG will make it back safely, and DK once again just going to have to go back to farming.
DK going back to farming isn't the biggest of deals. Again, Roshan really, really soon. Probably want to try to push out the top lane and mid as fast as you can. Then you can make your way over to Roshan, try to force a fight around there. You have your Enigma with the black hole. They have the gem. There's no vision on the side of DK near the river, or IG for that matter. There's a very interesting ward placement coming out from IG that really only sees one small sliver near the side shop, but it might be enough if they see them coming in from that particular direction. Otherwise, they're going to be more or less blind. And DK, they're going to be able to push the tier 2 in the top lane. They're not going to worry about the lane mid, so Zoe's going to be able to split push that in the meantime, which means that they're going to have to try to get that lane out if they want to try to go for Roche. And it looks like it's going to end up being a tier 2 for a tier 2 in the offlane.
Yeah, but honestly, though, I feel like that's a much better trade.
Oh, it's 2 for 1, actually.
Yep. So Weaver bringing that tower down as well. Much better trade going the way of IG. And more importantly, as you mentioned, the Roche advantage now not nearly as pronounced with those towers down. And Roche will be back up right about now, actually. We'll start seeing their little clock piece drop. But again, Weaver, after building survivability, Zoe with his Lincolns, he's now built a Desolator. So this is where things can get scary, where you have to account for that Weaver much earlier in fights. Before, yeah, he has a little bit of right click. He'll, hurt your supports. It's mostly Shukuchi damage you worry early on. But now with that Desolator, he will just completely demolish your team if you don't account for him quickly. And those chains of initiation become even more important to execute tightly.
Not only just a Desolator minus armor, but Swarm on top of that. It's pretty insane, actually, how fast you die to Weaver in this kind of a situation, especially heroes like Rubik. I mean, he has 3 armor, 5 if you want to count Basilosaur, but he's not always going to have that on him. And both teams kind of positioning right now towards mid. They both realize how important Roshan's going to be at this stage in the game. Chuan's going to scout it out with his Naga Siren images to make sure that they're not doing anything crazy, but this is a tense point because honestly, if IG get the Roshan, it's going to be very hard for DK to stop them, and likewise, it could be said for DK. And yeah, one hit on the tower top lane, Zoe manages to get that too. So I think that DK's decision to push the top tier 2 ended up backfiring pretty badly. They ended up essentially trading 2 towers for 1, and because of the positioning that they had after they went back mid, it also allowed top to push in, which in turn gives Zoe that free tower. I'm actually kind of unsure as to why they didn't deny that in the first place, but IG still sitting in top lane with Zoe. Looks like DK want to take the opportunity to go for Roche.
DK now, with the Spirit Bear having the Radiance plus the Assault Cuirass. This is where, and level 16, mind you, on Burning. So this is where really he's going to be feeling like he's at peak efficiency. Roshan drops immediately. Not much contesting of it whatsoever. In fact, IG looking a bit taken unawares as DK grabs that. The Enigma, not far away at all from his Blink Dagger. Now, having a Blink Dagger and an Aegis at this point of the game with a Radiance Bear, rocking an Assault Cuirass, this is the position IG really didn't want to be in. And granted, they do have up the death, so that's certainly going to help. But if that Bear gets one root on that Weaver, it might be, it could just utterly be disastrous.
Oh, familiar stuns on Zoe.
Can they catch him? No, doesn't look like they can. And really, so far, QQQ has been playing excellent Visage. His familiar stuns have been on point and have been the reason they've been able to actually succeed at ganking Zoe as often as they've tried. But nonetheless, we're crossing the 35-minute line. 14 kills are on the board, and both teams going to go ahead and take a bit of a breather again.
The thing that's important to keep in mind about games like this is both teams are putting so much emphasis on the next fight that it could just be the end of the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's 35 minutes in, there's only been 14 kills. So at some stage, because everyone's just buying items, not a whole lot of people have buyback. It's the Razor, the Weaver, and then the Windrunner, basically on both sides throughout everyone who are going to be able to buy back if there's actually pressure applied. So positioning becomes much more important at this stage. Do you want to take a fight on your opponent's side of the map rather than your own, unless you absolutely have to because they're pushing you? Because those fights mean that you're dead for a long time, and you're not going to be able to stop a push with a Lone Druid, with an AC and a Radiance, and then you're going to have a Razor who has Aghanims pushing inside of your base with an Enigma. I mean, that is some of the fastest base pushing that you're going to see.
You know, that's something you can't really underestimate about DK's lineup. That's going to continue to be a pretty big problem for IG, even with them now building some decent damage items. They're pretty tanky. Burning, in true form, he's at about 2,200 HP. Of course, we know how fat the bear happens to be. Then you take a look at the Razor with the Scepter, the BKB. He's got 1,800 health. The Visage even, working on his Scepter. He's got 3/4 of his Scepter. He's like 500 gold away from finishing his Scepter. That's another familiar, and that's going to tank him up quite well. He'll be near 1,400 health, give or take, once he picks up all the pieces. The Enigma with the Mechanism and the BKB, he's extremely survivable. That's 1,300 HP, which isn't rocking the world, but being able to bring him down when he has a mech to call upon, when he has that magic community on the BKB, quite a tall task. Really the only target that feels squishy is going to be MMY, and he's going to be hanging near the back anyway. I mean, he's had a great game thus far and has really been a difference maker in the way DK has been able to play this out. So IG, despite building damage, might actually feel comparatively the same now as they did 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's stressful, honestly, for both teams at this stage. Just that one decision can just be the make or break, and Burning's going to be chasing Zoe out of the top lane. And that tower was dying quite fast, actually. Desolator really, really doing work here. And what a lot of people like to do nowadays is actually go Desolator into the AC, just because you can backdoor so fast with that build and do so much damage. But I really think it would be favorable for DK to just force it right now. I mean, you have everything that you need. You have Blink, BKB, Mech on your Enigma. Super has 4,800 gold. Is he going to go for the Refresher, or is he going to go something else? They obviously don't need an AC anymore because the Bear has one. Refresher and Eye of the Storm is actually ridiculous. Like, the damage output that you do when you have that is insane. And we'll see what his choice is going to be here in just a second, because I think he's... oh, no, he's going to go Butterfly. So, unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen Refresher just because it's fun. And double Eye of the Storm is pretty cool to watch, but not going to be the choice.
Zoe once again kind of cornered out here. He should, yeah, he's got a TP. He should be just fine. And he'll go ahead and take his exit. But, you know, that's something you bring up, a point. I mean, and this is kind of something you see here and there. We've seen it through the preliminaries, and you have to wonder if it comes down to maybe being a little bit gun shy. Of all the mistakes we've seen, of all the games we've seen won and lost that are usually won and lost by either plays or misplays by other teams, I mean, like in a much more poignant sense than just, oh, well, we got a bunch of kills, made stuff, and, then killed their base. Don't mean that. But if there's one mistake we've seen teams consistently make, including especially the Asian teams, I would even say, it's doing this right here. Fnatic has really hurt themselves. Just kind of playing back, having an advantage and not pressing it as much as perhaps they could. Now, perhaps they were waiting on the Visage to have his Scepter. Again, he's tanked up quite nicely. Hell, Razor's not far at all from finishing his Butterfly. So at the same time, however, they're allowing Zoe to tank up as well. He's picked up a Reaver to go with his Lincolns and his Deso, so a Heart very likely to be on the way. Could go something like a Satanic. Doesn't really make sense all that much whenever you talk about a Weaver, though, so have to wait and see. But for now, DK obviously was waiting on that Scepter. They're smoked up, and they're ready to find someone. Burning taking the charge. They are going to go ahead and take the loop across the top of the map near the top lane river joint. And Zoe going to be the target again. Now, what mobility do they have? The Blink Dagger on the Enigma was completed. Windrunner just finished that. There we go, Zoe! Going to be Black Hold. Lincoln's popped. What a swap! Zoe swapped out! And the Vengeful Spirit, playing the role of martyr, keeps their carry alive. What a play, my friend.
Just being in the position, just knowing that they were going to be trying to go for Zoe. They've done it 2 times already this game. That's pretty much his only 2 deaths were Black Holes, so definitely nice to be there. And honestly, even though they lost the support, it's kind of worth it for IG because they Black Hold for Avenge. Not really the ideal trade if you're DK. And now that the Aegis is gone soon, well, it's going to be gone in a couple of seconds, but once it goes down, I don't think that DK are going to be trying to push yet, at least for a little while. There's a Basher done on the Bear, Butterfly completed now on Super, so he's going to be quite tanky in comparison to what he used to be towards at least the Weaver, which is nice. The only problem is now YYF has a Hex, so they can Hex the Razor, potentially look to catch him out, maybe try to burst him. The team fights, though, are going to be either the make or break. That's why both teams are positioning so passively, because they realize that the next fight could just be a Rax very quickly, and more so in favor of DK than IG, because we talked about how fast DK can kill your base with their lineup right now, where IG, I think, with the Weaver and the Desolator would be pretty fast, but probably not quite to the same speed as DK's.
Absolutely. We can even see Chuan has managed to land himself a Asajj, so he's not completely naked of items. He's got 1,600 health, which really, given his support role, was not all that bad whatsoever. But this actually just feels like the same shoe on the other foot. It's beginning to feel as if DK's being confounded a bit. Obviously, in a 41-minute game, they're in better shape than IG was by this stage of the game. I mean, hell, their game didn't reach this stage because the GG came. But it does begin to feel like a little bit of urgency might be dawning on them, and for good reason. They've got these items. They need to put them to use. They don't want to let IG just sit and farm. No reason to take that chance on an OD and a Weaver. And they are going to look to change that up as they cross the river. And they're going to move back down towards the site of the former Tier 1, look to hook up with a creep wave and hopefully find a pick or two. But going to come up empty-handed once again.
Well, at the very least, if you're in this kind of a position, you're forcing a couple of people back. Obviously, Zoe is going to be able to do his own thing in the top lane. He's got enough for his heart if he wants to finish it right now. He might just keep it a Reaver and maybe go AC or something like that instead. We'll have to see. But you're going to see a TP now bottom lane. If DK can force the Weaver back, that would be nice because then you can actually just assume control of the woods and you're not getting punished somewhere else. That's the big thing because as long as the Weaver's outside of the base and you don't feel comfortable enough to commit to the fight, the Weaver can just keep staying top. And he's already done a pretty significant chunk of damage to that tier 3 in the top lane. So if they overstay their welcome, can't force a reaction out of him, then IG can look to just counter push and maybe eventually force DK back. So we'll see if they want to commit to it that much.
Chuan now turning the Sange into the Heaven's Halberd. That Halberd, an essential item, and trying to shut down the slow push potential of DK, led by Burning and, of course, his Bear, being able to do anything they can just to take that mass amount of damage out. Now, granted, I mean, and this Bear is massive. I mean, just utterly massive. Speaking of massive, the Weaver is getting pretty fat as well. He's now sitting on a heart. He's got in his inventory 2,700 health, and they got to kill him twice, or kill him or scare the hell out of him to the point he'll time last at least once anyway. But, yeah, still a pretty close game, man. You take a look at the gold. 4,000 gold in a 40-minute game like this isn't really as much as it was 20 minutes ago. The experience is actually stupidly close, about 1,500 separating these two squads. But you begin to get the impression more and more. It's going to come down to, like you said, when you have two teams that just do nothing but the barnyard dance and paw the ground at each other for this long, eventually there is going to be a big clash. There's going to be a lot of buybacks on both sides, usually the way it works out. And then whoever comes out ahead after the buybacks tends to be the team that goes on to win. So much, and that's why both teams are playing so passively. I think they sense that directly.
Well, in terms of buybacks, IG has 3 right now. So in that sense, they're going to be looking pretty good, at least for the next Roshan fight. The problem is, even if you have a buyback, you don't have anybody like a Coddle to pull you back into the fight. Nobody has bots, so the buyback really only matters if you're defending your base. And if you're in the Roshan, you're obviously not defending your base. So I think that DK are probably going to try to go for it again. It's going to be up really soon. Probably a minute or so, maybe a little bit less. Zoe's kind of sitting up here in no man's land in the woods, currently hiding from the entirety of DK. But yeah, it's going to basically be the next fight, give or take, that decides what happens. And with buybacks on the side of IG, I don't necessarily think that DK could just straight up push, but forcing buybacks at this stage of the game is definitely a big deal too. You don't want people just getting free item progression for pretty much the entire game, which more or less has been the story. 15 kills in a 43-minute game. One of the slower paced games I think we've had, maybe actually the lowest in terms of kills considering how late it is, but still much more Dota to be played, I think. 44
minutes in, only 15 kills on the board. A very highly technical and strategic game of Dota, and gonna appreciate that too. Obviously the games that have a lot of kills are a hell of a lot of fun. I get a lot more work. I get to yell a whole bunch more, but I'm sure the audience around the world, not just here in the hall, but at home, no matter where home happens to be, really enjoying your insight and analysis, as I know I always do. But IG and DK now heading towards the bend in the river. The Roche pit definitely on their minds. Roche has been up. This will be a cheese Roshan at that. And DK is going to go ahead and assume the position. IG's actually pulling back right now. And taking a look at Chuan, he does have level 2 Song. Cooldown on it is relatively short. They're using a medallion on the Roshan. And I think they're honestly surprised they're getting away with this the way they are. This Roche is already down to half. If IG's going to do anything about this, they got to get going real quick, and no, it's gone already. So DK grabbing a free Aegis for their lone druid, Burning quite happy to take that. And yeah, that was just extremely passive play to the point of almost absurdity.
Maybe they just felt uncomfortable because of fighting in the Roshan pit or near it with an Enigma having a Blink Dagger. It is a risk, and it's something that maybe IG just weren't willing to try to do. And they just had Zoe pushing the top lane in the meantime. He's been like a broodmother this game, honestly. He's just been sitting top.
Yep.
Hasn't really done a whole lot else. Hasn't necessarily needed to either. They've spent a lot of effort trying to hold him down, and to his credit, he only has 2 deaths, considering how much they actually tried to kill him, and they went top, and of course his only 2 deaths were to black holes. So it's still pretty darn close. And a 4,000 gold lead, or actually less than that right now, like 3,500 at 45 minutes in is nothing. Like, it's absolutely nothing. One team fight is going to be more gold than that. So we'll see if IG or DK are able to edge each other out. The one thing that's important is how farmed this bear actually is now.
Oh, he's
this
huge.
bear hits really hard. And inside of a black hole, if it's anyone, it doesn't matter if you have 2,800 HP. If you're inside of a black hole and that bear and the Razor are able to hit you, you are going to die.
Oh, yeah. While we were pontificating, I was following the bear around. As you said, he's gigantic. Radiance MKB, a Basher, and an Assault Cuirass. I mean, what the hell can you even do against that? It's one of those things where that's got to be, I mean, they are going to smoke. And, you know, this is something they've been overdue for a while, I feel like. And I feel like IG is in okay shape. And but when you look at, like, Ferrari's actually really well farmed. He's just behind the Lone Druid. But just in front of them is YYF. Let's see if they can catch him. Super. Looks like he spotted it out. Will throw out the plasma field. And we're going to see IG all run straight for the side shop. One's gone, and another's gone. Now Faith likely to start teleporting once he confirms that everyone else is bailed out. And he will. So a smoke gank averted. And I'll tell you, that's the kind of game this has been. Whenever the audience claps because there wasn't any action, you know it's been a quiet game of Dota. Shiva's guard now picked up on the OD.
Well, the frustrating thing for DK is that they can't stop Zoe from doing what he's doing right now. They have to commit at least 2 or 3 heroes, most likely a black hole just to kill him. Very similar to what they've been doing. The one cool thing is they're actually in a position to kill the tier 2 before they have to TP back, but they will have to TP back because the rest of IG are going to be at their base beforehand. You don't want to base trade when the other team is actually getting there quicker.
The audience getting into it because we actually saw damage done to something other than creeps. The tower does end up dropping. And it's okay. Like I said, both of these teams, a lot on the line. IG are defending champions. DK looking to write the final chapter of the Living Legends memoirs and stencil in one last Aegis of the Immortal. DK, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to hang out in the same piece of town. That's good. It's good news. We're making progress. IG hanging out en masse here in the Radiant jungle. But looks like DK, you know, true to form. Nah, we're not going to fight. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's very uncharacteristic of IG this game to be not on their side of the map, but they quickly go back to their old ways and all retreat back to their side. Actually, no. Looks like Faith is being pretty manly here. He's all by himself, trying to catch up to Zoe, where Zoe's just doing his whole I'm going to split push and be very annoying thing. He might actually get caught this time.
Plasma Field's going to be there. Dust does get him. They got him. The black hole's there. But Faith is going to be able to swap him out. Can they follow it up nonetheless? Yes, they can. Faith will end up dropping as well. And after a long period of downtime, Zoe, caught with his hand in the cookie jar, gets himself and his support killed, and DK finally making something happen and punishing how greedy that Weaver has played all game.
You know, it's shocking that he's been doing that for 50 minutes, and that's only his 3rd death.
Isn't it?
He has been doing such a good job of that they have to black hole him every single time. And the refresher is not quite done on ROTK. So actually, no, it's not. Okay, those are bots recipes. Double checking to make sure. So he doesn't have his refresher just yet. Means no black hole for the push. He has buyback, but they at least want to force it. So DK are going to be walking down the lane, and we're probably not going to see a full commitment to this push, but who knows? Maybe they've decided.
DK hopefully deciding it's time. We see that the Lone Druid is doing his own thing in top lane. Up now, he may be thinking about cutting across. He actually picked out Boots of Travel. And some cat calls from the audience as DK decides to pull on back. Burning's not happy about it. He was yelling and stuff. But 17 kills in a 50-minute game. The goal graph tells us, look at that. It's been 50 minutes, and we're basically back where we started. Both of these teams damn near even, the experience right there as well. It's a brand new game of Dota. Let's treat it like just game 2.5, guys. DK and IG trying to find any opening they possibly can. And the locals are getting impatient. And looks like finally IG will cross back over.
Yeah, it's nice to see some aggressive positioning from IG. They haven't necessarily been controlling the map, but they've always made sure that somebody is getting farm.
Yep.
Even in the case that Zoe gets ganked by 5 people, you know that you're going to have YYF or Ferrari getting something in return. So it's not a gigantic loss. And at the end of the day, the Weaver didn't even have to buy out. Like, I thought that they would actually force it, but they didn't even feel comfortable doing that because by the time they got to base, he had about 25, 30 seconds left before he was going to be alive anyway, and they couldn't really make much happen off of that. So Aegis is actually not up anymore, so might be looking at another Roshan attempt going to be coming out in the next couple of minutes. And Zoe doing his whole I'm going to hide in the top thing while you guys try to gank me, and then once you leave, I'll continue my split push, and the never-ending story of this game continues.
He's going to poke his nose out, and doesn't look like he will be spotted, but it's okay, because IG's going back to farm. And at this point, they've basically taken on subsidies. They've been spending so much time farming. And let's take a bet here, Draskell. What do you think is going to happen first, 20 kills or 60 minutes?
60 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably.
You're a brave one, let me tell you.
Well, see, the thing is, there's going to be at least another 3 or 4 minutes before Roshan's alive, and if IG didn't contest the last Roshan, they're probably not going to contest this one, and DK just want the Aegis to sit on their side of the map and farm anyway. So probably 60 minutes.
Yeah, we're just filling inventories, man. See, this is one of those games where you just play with your buddies, and you're like, let's just play for real, but at the end, like nobody tried to win. Let's just fill our inventories and see, in theory, which team would win if everyone had 1 million gold, had all the gold at once. But Zoe, at least he's going to kill Ancients this time. At least we're watching him kill different creeps.
Yeah, that's exciting. He's got a double damage, though. I think that's exciting, yeah.
Oh, yes, the audience happy to see some variety. Super, with the cheese and the BKB, and you know, I feel like it's like we're like item shop owners, man. That's all we've done is talk about our items. They talk about items for a while, and once again, the natives getting restless here. And Zoe, just gonna back off. It's fine. It's got 5,000 gold, and apparently he needs some more.
Well, soon he's not going to have much more of a purpose to farm. That's the thing. Like, he's going to have his MKB or Daedalus stun, whichever he decides to go for. Yeah, and Super with the butterfly might just end up being an MKB just to make sure you can try to focus him, but he still has cheese. I think DK are actually waiting for 2 cheese and a Rosh just to push. It's happened before. Actually, I think there was a game where there were 3 cheeses and a Roshan, so I'm not really getting my hopes up in terms of anything happening per se, but Refresher is going to be done soon on RTK, and Satanic now on this Razor. So Butterfly, Satanic, Cheese, BKB, Aghanims. He is very stacked.
Look at the net worth. Like, just look at the net worth. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 heroes that are over 20,000 net worth in this game. You have 17,000, 13,000. Hell, poor Venge is the only one that's broke. The Visage is sitting at almost 5 digits. The Visage, he'll be there at 10,000 soon. I've seen many games. Hell, there's been games today that have ended with carries with less than 10,000 net worth. But hey, maybe they're sensing some body warmth. Zoe, no, never mind. TP out and up. Zoe, now he's gonna kill something. Nope, never mind. Thought he'd take a shot at a familiar. Not gonna happen. He's greedy, but he's not that greedy, guys. I mean, come on, let's be real. We got to be patient here.
Well, honestly, it's actually hard to keep track of what they're cheering for anymore. I mean, I'm like looking at my screen, I'm like, okay, I'm not actually sure what they're cheering for. See, there you go. It just happens, man.
You guys are exciting. They're cheering for us, man.
I'll tell you what is exciting, though. Ferrari gets a refresher. So we're going to see the double Sanity's Eclipse, double Hex, double Shivas. It's very, very good in terms of AoE teamfight, and there is actually only 2 people on the side of DK with BKBs. So even Burning, as tanky as he is, 2,800 HP, they will have the capability of killing him extremely fast with the double ulti.
All right, the Roche Pit might act. Yes, they're going to send him in. They're going to take their shot. IG waiting on the high ground. 55-minute game looks like. I might win that bet, Draskell, because IG should.
I would be happy to lose this bet.
Enigma gets a refresher. Now that's something to cheer about. DK thought about it, thought better of it. And back to playing PvE. We're not playing Dota anymore. This is an MMO where we just build items and then take pictures and show our friends our items. But
well, we got Power Shot scouting going on. They're showing an interest. I mean, YYF's kind of sitting over here like, I kind of want to do it, but I'm not sure. Kind of want to go make lunch.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, these guys got to be getting hungry. Been in there a while. 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. We'll see what we're going to get first, 20 kills or 60 minutes. And they're pulled back right in the shadow of their tier 3, because that's what you do. Oh, and they're smoked. IG looking to make something happen. The familiars are keeping an eye on Roshan. They're just waiting around. Oh, there we go. There's a swap. Super caught out. Dropping the hammer, but the black hole. Black hole caught 3. BKB not enough to keep him alive. They end up trading 1 for 1 after the Naga song. And now Zoe pursued out. Shivas goes off. Super engaging back out into them. And there we go. Another ulti going to be dropped. Visage is there. Ferrari's in trouble. He'll drop. The Bear going to clean up Zoe. Chuan's next. Chuan being pursued to the high ground, and down he goes. 2 buybacks from IG. Roshan gonna be the target. One would imagine if they can do it. They've got Burning back at the base, and no, they're not gonna rush the pick quite yet. There's YYF with an army of creeps chasing him. And he's just gonna go ahead and take a little bit of farm. Now Ferrari's gonna come back and help clean that up. But Roshan under assault. Super did use his cheese there. So it will be sans 1 cheese, even if they could get this one. And now Zoe gonna poke his nose in. He's gonna find the familiars, gets one of them. They're gonna stun immediately. Ferrari and Zoe both hanging out here. They come down the hill. They might look to take this fight. Shackle Shot's gonna latch. Here we go. They're gonna turn and try to take the fight. Super hexed out. YYF is cleaned up. There's the Bear laying into Ferrari. In the meantime, Weaver gets the Aegis. Ferrari gonna be caught with a static link, and Zoe gonna be caught with the root. There's the ulti in the time lapse, but it's not enough. Zoe drops, as does Rubik. Loses his Aegis. Can they follow it up? They sure can. He's got a black hole if he needs it. Good swap, but it doesn't matter. ROTK pulling the trigger now. Faith gonna pay the price for his martyrdom. We had 26 kills at 58 minutes. A bet I'm happy to win. And IG and DK showing us why Dota at this level is so intense. At any moment, that fight could have broken out over the last 25 minutes. Now that it has, a very big advantage. Going into DK, the metrics don't really measure it. 3,000 gold in a 60-minute game is not that big of a deal. But just having that momentum, the Weaver is down for a long, long time. He bought back and then came back and died, got the Aegis. They're gonna take this Rax. They simply cannot fight without this Weaver. They cannot do it. All of their hopes, just look how hard Burning and his Bear are hitting, just chewing through everything. Down goes the tier 3. And the Rax, both sets will be dropping. And IG waited it out, played patient. When the moment came, it was DK that executed. We just saw ROTK use the refresher. There's going to be a swap on the Burning. Can they clean him up? No, they can't! Black hole gonna save his buddy, at least for a moment. And the song of the siren slows things down. Big ulti blows up Burning and ROTK. A power shot enough to clean them up. Ferrari forced the 4 staff away. It's a double kill going the way of the Windrunner. He's gonna turn and use his ulti again, but in the end, that'll be it, and it was stolen as well. MMY turning and using it against his enemies. And DK with OD down, even with Weaver back up, it looks like they do want to back out. But 1 Rax is down, and the days of IG just sitting and free farming, not gonna be in their future any longer. As we just crossed 60 minutes, and we've got a Windrunner with an MKB. That's the kind of game this is.
Well, he kind of needs the semi-carry potential. The big thing that's happened so far is that they can't kill Super and Burning.
No.
That's the thing. They're too tanky. 2,700 HP on Super with a Butterfly. Burning's got almost 3,000. He's actually got a Basher on himself now, too. The big problem, too, was they went in. IG go for the initiation with the swap. The Black Hole comes out. The Song of the Siren was there to stop DK's team from helping during the Black Hole. But they just simply didn't have the damage to kill Super, even the first time when they were still fighting mid in the river. That's how long that extended fight was. It was give or take 5 or 6 minutes straight of fighting after we had like 25 minutes of passivity. And then when they get into the base, Chuan gets the song again during the Black Hole, and the BKB actually wears off on RTK during the song, so he actually goes to sleep, can't target him, but they end up getting the Sanity's Eclipse straight after, and YYF gets a double power shot and gets a double kill. So really nice plays, and there was actually an interrupt as well. The ensnare came out on RTK as the song was out. So very nice coordination coming out from IG. I think, honestly, they just waited a little bit too long. Like a Lone Druid who has this many items, you cannot afford to lose a fight. That's just it. You have to coordinate and you have to win it. And DK right now, if they get one more fight, it's going to be a double Rax. And I don't think that IG can come back from that.
Looks like DK's ready to make that a reality. They're moving out under cover of smoke. Not going to be in. I mean, there is seriously not a target anywhere near. I mean, right here. It's the closest targets there are. That's over at the Radiant side, Ancients. So, if nothing else, they're moving quicker. Need to go get the creep wave, though, if they want to actually push. Up atop, Burning. We'll go ahead and TP back out. And let's see what they got. Wards, more wards. We're building items. There's a BKB up on a Lone Druid. Very rare to see a BKB on a Lone Druid. But hell, at this point, you've built everything. I mean, other than getting an Abyssal Blade on you and your bear.
I want to point out he actually has a BKB on himself and the bear.
Oh, yeah.
He's got 2.
Oh, he bought 2. Never mind. That may, yeah, because that's what you do in a 60-minute game. A match point against IG at the International. That's what you do.
Well, you're against an OD, and OD is pretty much the only source of damage output outside of the Weaver right now. I guess YYF has a BKB. It is some damage coming out from him, but they don't care about physical damage. They really only care about the Sanity's Eclipse, especially considering Ferrari went for a Refresher, and he already has a Hex and a Shiva's. It's a really big counter to him, and his damage output on the Bear is already tremendous anyway, so I think it's a really good choice, actually, to go for the BKB in this position, because it eliminates one hero from the fight. And since they bought it so late, it's a 9-second BKB on the Bear and a 10-second one on him. So the BKB being that high duration this late in the game means that his damage output for an extended period is going to be insane.
What's beginning to shine for IG, if they do have any chance to play their way back into this, it's going to be on the back of their mobility. You got a lot of Scythe of Ice, a lot of Force Staffs, a lot of ways to take fights on their terms, and really that's been the calling card of DK and their success throughout this match. 22-8 in a 63-minute game. You're talking, a completely negligible amount of golden experience. And doesn't take much to keep them entertained for this match. I've noticed that. A lot of guys, they serve an alcohol out in the lobbies. That's what's happening now.
Man, I wish.
Yeah, no joke. But, use a beer and a cigarette after this. But, e-cigarette, that's right. But nonetheless, they're farming on opposite sides of the river and opposite sides of the map because, they need more stuff. Poor ROTK still walking around on brown boots, by the way. Come on, dude. You got 1,200 gold. Get some boots.
Yeah, it's been a hard game for offlaners and supports. So right now, their DK is still looking pretty good. Honestly, I don't think that IG could potentially win a fight if they fought right now. And their net worth, YYF is actually worth quite a bit, and he can buy another item soon. And his damage output is going to start becoming more important because, like I said, the BKB's done on the Lone Druid and such. But this is really still tense. It doesn't mean that DK just win because they got 1 Rax. Anything can happen, especially during a team fight. If Chuan's songs are on point like they have been, then it can very easily turn around as long as Ferrari's ults are really good. And, of course, the Weaver is actually getting close to another item. I think he kind of needs a Butterfly. If he doesn't get one, then the Razor's... Actually, no, the Razor has an MKB too. Never mind. So they both have BKBs, which means the Butterfly is not going to be that good of a choice anyway. So I'm actually not sure what he can do. Maybe AC is going to be his choice. Get a bit more armor, a bit more minus armor. Try to tank through. But it's getting to that stage in the game where the Lone Druid is actually just getting items on himself because he cannot get any more on the Bear.
Yep. More or less. And DK decides, you know what? They got to check on their tier 3s again. Gotta walk back home. Gotta make sure kids are staying away and no vandalism and such. And obviously, same with IG. They got to check it and say, yeah, used to be a Rax there. It's fine. It is fine. But now they're going to go kill some different creeps. Yeah. Kill some ancients. Right. Extra gold. Roshan. Going to be back up in 3 minutes. And at this point, I don't think there's any doubt that's what they're waiting on. Just a Roshan and IG. I don't know. IG's just hanging out, man. They needed a breather. It's in their union contract, actually. Little known stipulation of the back-end rules of the International. They got to take a break, man. And DK, though, foregoing their break, they're wanting overtime.
DK have no reason to try to pressure right now, though. They know that they got a really big advantage just by killing one lane, especially in long, drawn-out games like this. Your middle lane isn't giving you nearly as much gold anymore. You're essentially getting half income from it, and as maybe not exciting as it is to watch, it is actually better to just let the other team starve out and you get more and more ahead over time. And if you can get a cheese and another Aegis, why not? Considering the Lone Druid can still hold it because his bear's full. That's one thing that's actually really cool about Lone Druid is even if you have a full bear, you can always carry the Aegis. It doesn't matter. Unless it gets to the point where Burning has 6 items and his bear have 6 items, that's the only time they're going to give it to somebody else. Then they might give it to like ROTK or something just to make sure that he can get a black hole. But this Razor is 6 slotted. The Lone Druid is 9 slotted technically right now. Yeah, it's farm on farm right now in this game.
Yeah. I really don't know what else. I think we've officially hit the limits of what we can talk about. It's just items. They're just building stuff. And I've clicked around. I guess you can say, hey, all right, Rubik's got himself a Ghost Scepter. It's a nice way to keep himself alive against the physical damage output of the Weaver and of the Windrunner now. Windrunner's actually hitting for 286 damage, so YYF unloading, especially with Focus Fire. This is where Focus Fire becomes kind of damn scary. You get locked down, hit with a Shackle Shot, and she Focus Fires you. That's pretty intense damage. So a bit of a change of pace as the supports and offlaners begin to adapt their role here in game number 2. And that's what's crazy. This game could very well end up showing us IG as victors. And then we would go to a 3rd game after that. And Zoe getting very close to DK, but going to go ahead and pull back to the safety and succor of his teammates.
Yeah, that was the closest I think heroes from opposing teams have gotten in some time. So definitely worth a cheer.
Hey, they might kill some illusions.
Hey man, Roshan spawning right now. That's exciting, right?
And happy Aegis, everyone. Bear checks in to see what's going on. And hey, they killed some illusions. Awesome. But looks like IG getting into position early. Now this actually is interesting. They are getting into position as early as they can. Here comes DK, ROTK's there up front. Super there front as well. He's going to find himself a haste rune. Could not ask for a better rune for a Razor. Up on top there's Zoe. Are they going to engage out? They're trying to zone them out. ROTK sticks his nose up. The illusions checking things out. IG rather split up at the moment. Refreshers aplenty. The Enigma and the OD, both with their own refreshers. Zoe building a lot of damage. Zoe's hitting for 350 base damage, make that 376 whenever he's within the aura of Vlad's. And bringing down some Ancients. And Roshan's like, dude, seriously? Seriously? You gonna fight? You know, it's a PvP server, you know. It's cool. You can do stuff other than farm.
I think he's tired of dying, actually. I don't think he wants to die again. How many Roshans is this? Is this number 5?
4 or 5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, 5 sounds right. 5 Roshans, all used to farm. And we're coming up on 70 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to, oh, there's a swap. Faith manages to grab Burning. Burning force stopped out in the black hole. Interrupted it just enough. Chuan on point, but no, the other one. He got Ferrari and YYF. Zoe and YYF turn to focus him down, but the rest of DK pursues him out. What did he get? He got Shikuchi. Chuan now the one left standing being pursued out. Not going to over-pursue because they've got a bigger prize waiting back in this pit. That's a half-health Roshan. The buyback came out of IG. And they're going to try to re-engage. Now Zoe's going to go, oh, nope, never mind. Didn't get there quick enough. Lone Druid manages to pick up the Aegis. And now IG may be feeling a point of desperation as we approach again that 70-minute mark. I'm sure our wonderful stat people will let us know when we've eclipsed the longest match in international history. Looking forward to that if we do get to see it here today. But IG suddenly on the aggressive. They don't have, they've got a big creep wave coming. And that, this is how you know you're in a deep game. And by the way, mid's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do something about this quick, fast, and in a hurry. And here they come. Look at the tier 4s melt these creeps. At 70 minutes in, hitting so hard, they can barely deal with this issue. They're not going to be able to turn their back at all. And now DK pushing out down this bottom lane, looking to finally finish this game off.
Well, if we're going for the longest international game, we got about another 20 minutes. I think the longest was 90-something minutes at TI1. I believe it was an eHome game. But we'll have to ask Bruno about that, actually, when the game is over. But I'm pretty sure it was an eHome game. Regardless, Cheese and Aegis on Burning. Like, really? Oh, the Rapier!
Zoe has had enough. This capacity crowd, suddenly, their eyes brighten up, their hands go up in the air. And it looks like Zoe, the kind man that he is wants to make this wait worthwhile. They're going to show us a Rapier.
Well, Rapier to me says IG know that they need more damage. That's really been the story. And as good as the song and the ensnares have been on Chuan, like he's been on point every single time. RTK's first black holes always get canceled or there's always a song.
Yep.
But the second one, when he refreshed, there was just nothing left that they had. And Faith accidentally kind of got caught in it too. He walked a little bit too far to the left, and at that point it was forcing buybacks. But as I mentioned before, if you buy back and you don't have bots, you can't actually do anything in the fight. That's why the familiars are so useful for DK, because Burning has had bots for, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and every single time they focus him down, he's able to buy back and get back into the fight immediately because there's an Aghanim Visage on his team. So there's always a bird up on QQQ to be able to get back in, which is another reason why they were able to kill that Rosh anyways. So DK just playing very well during the fights, especially RTK during the last one. IG on the back foot. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They're going to try to defend this. The Rapier, though, DK doesn't know that he has a Rapier, which means that he has the potential to pretty much kill a hero very, very quickly. If you get a Hex on Super or you get a Hex on Burning, you're going to be able to pop the Aegis on Burning, and actually they swapped the cheese to somebody. Who the heck did they give it to? Okay, it was RTK. But you can actually kill Super now with a Rapier.
Pretty sure they got to look at the Rapier. Zoe did stop by middle lane to melt down some of the big boy creeps that were pushing in and continue to threaten those tier 4s. But the Aegis up, only 3 more minutes. And DK with a big wave at bottom. I'm a little shocked that they're not actually going for it here. I guess maybe they just want to crack the plateau coming through mid lane instead. The bear showing its face. And IG hanging out down in that bottom lane. Here we go. DK gonna go farm Ancients. That's what we do.
Yeah, but it's their enemy's Ancients, so it's better because it means that IG can't farm their Ancients. That's the next level strategy. And they're going to find a double damage here on Burning, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see DK go for this, actually. And Super's going to be the one to pick it up. So if
do
they
it, Burning.
want to...
Turn around. Don't go back to the jungle. It's like you're drugged in. You go in, lose your soul, you never come back out. Come on, man.
Well, there is some difference in poise now because IG are actually sitting inside of their base with Zoe, as opposed to the other 40 minutes where he was always outside of the base looking for places to split push.
Yeah, he was sitting right here, actually.
Yeah,
this is exactly
but the
where
thing
he was
is,
sitting the entire game.
Buying the Rapier has made him so much more scared that he can't go out on his own anymore. So if he goes out and gets caught, then it's game because Burning gets a Rapier or whoever else picks it up. And yeah, DK, they're going for the tower.
Bear taking the lead as the crowd here at the International ready to see some more action here in Game 2 of this best of 3. And DK says, no, not so fast. We want more stuff. They're not playing Dota, they're playing Minecraft. They're building stuff.
Well, to be fair, he did lose his bear extremely quick, and you want a double bear when you're pushing, because if Burning dies now, then he doesn't, or no, he does have the bear, but if that bear dies, then he won't actually be able to resummon one, which you really want for a push, especially at this stage in the game. So I can understand why they would back there. Unfortunately, it's, Aegis is going to fade in a minute, which means that they're probably not going to try to apply any pressure, but they did get the tower, so trading a bear for a tower is fine. And the top racks are exposed, so that means the next fight that DK do take, if it's near IG's base, should be pretty easy to just end things up. And yeah, Abyssal done now on Burning, so he's got a Basher on the bear. and Abyssal on himself. I mean, honestly, I have never seen a 12-slotted bear before, ever. Okay? This could be the first time that we get a chance to see one.
Well, we're going to find out soon. He's actually carrying around the wards because he's the only hero on the map that has a free slot anymore. So we have to drop those. Just have to give up vision to buy more stuff. 35 kills split 25 to 10. We're talking 1 kill roughly every 2 minutes. Less than every, or more, a little over every 2 minutes to bring us to this point. DK, though, crossing the river once again. Zoe hits he does 608 damage a shot. Then he has Geminate attack. Then he has armor reduction from the Deso. Then he has the Swarm, which is, of course, armor reduction.
You know what, man? Screw one rapier. Sell your treads and get another one.
You may as well,
have Shakuchi.
really.
You don't need move speed.
That's right. And, well, looks like, trying to farm elsewhere. They'll take it there. They're just playing ultra safe. IG, as mentioned. It's sitting in the base. That's what to do. And go back to the old ancient camp. See you, Dragon. DK brings down the ancient camp. I got to keep my voice in shape, dude. If I
the
don't
audience loves this ancient camp. Like every time they go there, I don't know what it is about it, but it just excites them, and I'm excited because they're excited.
Look at the size of the creep waves.
Yeah.
Just look at this. They're massive.
Yeah, this is pretty insane. 77-minute game, give or take, right now. But like I was saying, it's now IG are actually just confined to their base. It's not like earlier where they were actually getting something out of it. If you look at the gold, it's pretty much reflected in that. They're losing slowly and surely in experience and gold over time because they're not able to leave the base anymore. So DK they're winning, and they're still getting an advantage even if they're falling back on their side of the map because IG are so scared that they have like a Weaver sitting behind a Windrunner who's farming. That's how scared IG are right now.
By the way, that little murmur you heard in the crowd, they were cheering for a D ward. There was a D and a ward died.
I'm surprised there are even wards down. You know, MMY hasn't had a spell to steal because he hasn't seen a hero in like 10 minutes.
It's the truth. All right. You know, it has been 10 minutes. Guaranteed the last time he saw a hero was right here outside of this Roche pit. And 2 minutes.
People are actually cheering at the memory of when they were fighting. Like that's...
And DK returning to the ancient camp, gonna bring down 3 of the big boys. Yeah, see again, I'm glad it happens because I get to keep my voice in shape. Otherwise, I'm gonna start to crackle and get the coughs and stuff.
They're doing it for you, man. Like that's pretty much.
We just need to get a wave going around. Like at this point, somebody start it. Somebody be the dude to do that. I don't know. There has to be someone. They always have to start somewhere.
I think they're coordinated enough to do a wave.
They're Dota players. Of course they're coordinated.
I believe. I am just like really surprised that like DK right now, they're putting wards up, but they're putting wards around Roshan. It's actually gonna be up in like a minute.
Yeah, 60
So maybe
seconds.
that's gonna be what they want. Maybe this time it's gonna be a double cheese because RTK still has cheese from earlier. So they're gonna have double cheese, Aegis. Got a gem on the bear. Oh, that's pretty good actually. I'm a fan. Well done.
What is it?
They did the wave, man.
There
you go.
Yes, sir. Dota fans getting the job done as we wait. Yes, that's the one. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Wonder if that's the first official wave at an esports event. Yes, and now they're rolling it back to forward. They started at the front and did it to the back. Now they just did it in the other direction.
All right, everyone apparently in the audience is a Meepo player because they're way too coordinated.
This is now the longest match at the International 3, by the way.
Yeah, this TI it is. That 94-minute match, though. God, I remember that. Jeez.
We're only 15 minutes away from that. 15 minutes doesn't seem that long.
Maybe they just had an agreement. Maybe before the match they were talking like, you know what? We want to break a record, so we're just going to have the longest game.
And happy Aegis, everybody! Roshan gonna die quick, fast, and in a hurry. And give the man another Aegis of the Immortal. Didn't see who picked up the cheese. They smoke immediately out of the pit. And IG smoked up as well. And they're probably gonna go farm. if they go into the jungle, no. Don't. What are you doing?
Okay.
Don't. No.
ROTK has 2 cheeses. He's got 2. Oh, and he has a hex. Okay, the Lone Druid has a hex.
At least Visage got the kills that time.
He is 2 items away from being the first 12-slotted Syllabear I've ever seen in competitive play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to count Aegis and Gem, that's fine, but I don't really count, like,
Yeah.
not real items.
Right, like
so,
not stuff you bought.
Yeah.
Well, not stuff you bought that like wasn't given to you, because I doubt he bought that gem. No, ROTK did. If he bought the gem, we would count it, but he didn't. He picked it up. So we're going back to. So this is what it's like to commentate World of Warcraft, isn't it? I just realized
Something
that.
like
That's
that,
basically
man.
what we're doing, isn't it?
I don't know. This is... There's really only so much you can say.
Yeah.
It's like the next fight's pretty much going to decide either who has more buybacks, which, good God, everyone almost has a buyback at this point. Everyone outside of actually the Lone Druid, who has the Aegis anyway, and the supports, which don't really matter that much at this point.
Well, Jesus, like, look at the buyback cost for Visage. He needs 1,900 more gold to be able to afford a buyback. He could buy a Force Staff or a Blade
They're getting
Tech.
closer to the base.
Here we go.
They're going to go down the ramp.
Naked Racks.
Oh,
they're
and a
gonna-
D-Ward. Sick.
Here we go. 81 minutes leading up to this. The bear leads the way. He's going to be scythed out. And just look at that bear melt. That is one dead piggy in a hurry. And they're going to be forced back out. They're going to be forced back out. And DK screwed up their courage, dug deep, and had the fortitude and tenacity to return to the ancient camp on the Radiant side. Now, maybe. Ready to, I don't know. I got nothing, dude.
Well,
I got nothing.
you can look at the CS. It's funny. I mean, Burning has almost 800 last hits. And between the Weaver and the OD, there's 1,200, so there's that. You know you've had a long game when there are close to 1,000 last hits on any given hero. So maybe, has there ever been somebody who's gotten 1,000 last hits in a competitive game or more? I know there's been like 700-800 at least, but I don't think there's ever been quite 1,000. So maybe Burning for his last tournament, even if he doesn't go all the way, he wants to make sure he's been a 12-slotted Lone Druid. He wants to make sure he gets over 1,000 last hits, and he wants to be a part of the longest game.
Anyway, 10 to 25. We're going for it, dude. You said 90 minutes?
94 minutes, eHome IG, International 1.
I'm sure our wonderful stat staff will inform us of what the longest in history was at some point. Whether we get it or not, I want to know. Because, dude, at this point, I'll be disappointed if we don't. I'll just say it, okay?
It feels like a waste now. It's like if you end it now, it's like all this work for nothing, right?
These people in this crowd want to be a part of history. They're already a part of history just by being here. Be a part of history of sitting through, especially all of you guys who have been here since game 1. I know there's the arena has packed a bit more here in game 2, but some of you have been sitting in those seats since we sat down. Speaking of sitting down, my legs are going to sleep.
Yeah, it's been a while. One game apparently with 1,000 CS, and Evil geniuses.
Evil. Zara. Oh no, I'm not going to make that joke. That's way too mean. But yeah, 1,000 CS game, and ladies and gentlemen, 90 minutes. We are 6 minutes away from cracking that record. 6 minutes away.
10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes. Oh, it's a 95-minute game?
94, 95, yeah.
Okay. 90. My bad. And can I just rest the camera here and give my hands a rest? Do you guys mind if I just stare at the Roshan timer?
I don't think it matters, really. I mean, there's not a whole lot happening right now. I mean, a catapult died mid. It happens. Sometimes in this game, creeps die. Okay, let's look at this for a second. Burning has a Hex. QQQ has a Hex. RTK has 2 cheeses.
Ho, ho, ho. Familiars versus illusions. One's going to Riptide. They're going to go ahead and try to stun.
Wow, sick micro.
The creeps go into battle. Come on. Come back up. Go kill him. No! Even the bear didn't get him with the Radiance.
Honestly, with 2 hexes on the side of DK, they could focus down any single hero. on the side of IG. The game has gone on so long that Zhao sold his Lincolns to buy a BKB. Like, that's how long this game is. And he has 6,400 gold.
Yeah. All right, so, hey!
Uh-oh, they're closing in on top again. This is a naked set of racks, by the way, so all it's going to take is one engagement. Even with buybacks, no matter how close you are, that bear is going to kill your racks instantly. Like, that's just what he's going to do.
What they're going to do is win this game at 91 minutes. That's what's going to happen.
They want it. The crowd is feasting right now on blood. They want to see it.
And here we go. DK approaches the first set of steps for the second time in a while. And the bear hanging back. That bear hits really hard. The Aegis reclaimed in 1 second.
Oh no, they're going to see it disappearing back.
And DK, Arc Boots. He used an active item. That should count for something.
I wonder what Burning is going to buy next. He's got 6,000 gold.
Go ahead, Burning. It's fine, buddy. We just know that we love you, and we're here for you whenever you're ready to deal with your problem.
I think he's addicted to money, man.
Addicted to money?
I mean, it could be a thing. I mean, he's got more than anyone else. He's got almost 50,000 net worth.
Yep.
50,000.
Yep. That's happening. Roshan back to be in the center of attention. We're 4 minutes out, ladies and gentlemen. So 4 minutes, you got enough time to run out, see if the secret shop line isn't that long. Yeah, there are people who could have waited in the first day's secret shop line in the time this game is gone.
Yeah.
Remember that line?
I do remember that line.
That was a long line.
There was also a massive line upstairs as well for the signings.
Oh, yeah, I knew a little bit of something about that.
Yep.
That was a fun day. Fun day.
Oh, the actual longest game, 96 minutes and 27 seconds.
96 minutes, and that's in all of professional Dota. So we might have a chance. Yeah, we're less than 10 minutes away from cracking the all-time record for competitive Dota 2. And shout-outs, by the way, to our stat staff. Of course, Bruno and K-Poptosis and the...
They're helping us out, man. They're giving us stuff to talk about because, honestly...
Because, yeah. I'm so sick of clicking on these freaking heroes. I'm so sick of it. I've seen their items.
Hold on. Okay, Razor, he bought a Demon Edge, right?
Uh-huh.
Is it going to be a Rapier or is it going to be a Daedalus?
It better be a Rapier.
I'm thinking Rapier.
We got Boots of Travel up on the... He's making his way to the secret shop. Do it. He's not going to do it now because he's going to want buyback.
Nah, you don't need buyback. Do it. He's thinking about it.
Oh, he phased Boots. Got excited. He ran towards the shop and phased Boots away because he knew he was tempted. This is what this has come to. We're watching Super run in circles, and it's the most interesting thing we've seen on screen in about 5 minutes. Hey, the Druid gets a Daedalus. And hey, going back to that ancient camp. You know what? Who I really feel sorry for? The people who this is the first game of Dota they've ever watched. They have no idea.
What is this game? No one's doing anything.
Why does that big dude get so excited whenever they go and kill the rock guys? What the hell? But yes, if this is your first game of Dota, we are all trolling each other. Like, it is palpable how much Kappa is in this room right now. It is palpable.
Oh, DK. They're in IG's woods right now.
Here we go. IG, they're at least on the same quarter of the map. They're in the same quarter of the map.
Okay, so I want to put on record, it's been about 25 minutes, maybe even 30, since MMY has had a spell. Like a stolen spell. He hasn't had one the whole game. Honestly, you say you're frustrated for people who haven't watched Dota before and this is their first game. I think being a support in this game is probably a nightmare.
You're just running in circles, dude. Yep.
I think you guys are a bit off.
You're a little ahead, guys. See, like, they're trolling each other.
If you just keep saying 5 and then count down when the clock starts moving, it'll probably work.
Oh, hang on. Oh, we're going to have a smoke.
Uh-oh.
And the fight, finally we're going to have a fight. There we go. Ult's dropping, the BKBs are up. We're going to see Ferrari locked down. Zoe, there's it stolen again. Zoe locked down. just as Roshan responds, we get our first dose of action in a long, long time. They're going to move into Roshan, and this Roshan is going to die very quickly. There's the Song of the Siren, and Chuan trying to buy his buddy time. There it goes, Weaver.
He's got the rapier still.
Picks up the Agents of the Immortal, and here we go. Super's going to come in. They're going to try to lock down Zoe. Black Hole! No faith! Swapped him out. They're going to reinitiate Zoe. Again locked down. He loses the Agents. YYF doing what damage he can. We're going to see OD forced out to the high ground. MMY being chipped away. Zoe's hexed. Can they clean him up? Astral Imprisonment tries to buy him time. Chuan is going to end up down. Now Zoe. Rapier's on the ground. Burning has the rapier. DK making it all worth the wait. 91 minutes in, and Burning fills out the last slot in his inventory with the item we all wanted to see him have, a Divine Rapier.
Oh man, he's going to sacrifice his bear, though they're going back in.
Oh, here we go. Zoe going toe-to-toe with him. Can they keep him locked down? Zoe's taking so much damage. He's down below a quarter health, and he's going to time-lapse. Burning now. Will be cleaned up. Who got it? Who got it? Now Zoe, no, it's on down again. And YYF, not the one that picked it up. It was.
He picked up the treads.
He picked up the treads. It's MMY. And now, where'd the rapier go? It's on the ground. It's on the ground. Yeah, ping that out. Who's got room? Ferrari does. The Force Staff. What sacrificed? And I don't think there's any doubt about it. 92 minutes in, the rapier dropped, reclaimed, dropped, reclaimed, dropped, and reclaimed. We are going to see history. The longest game of professional Dota 2, barring some miracle.
I can't believe this. Like, this is insane.
Read that.
Yeah.
Most gold ever farmed. Amazing. Just amazing. Phenomenal.
Well, I do want to point out the first fight that actually happened, because whenever we have fights in this game, they actually last for like 5 minutes.
Yes,
because
exactly.
Every single person has buyback. It's like they killed RTK immediately. They hexed, popped him, forced him to buy back. They go for the Roshan, they get it, and they won a fight with a Weaver who had a rapier and an Aegis. And then after that, they chase across the map, and IG pushing into the base. They're going to get the top set of racks.
Tier 3 down. Down goes the Rex. The no buybacks on the Lone Druid or Razor. So IG casually walking across the map and making it even on racks. And now they say, oh yeah, we're going to farm your jungle. How you like that? I've been sitting our base all day. Our jungle now.
They swapped the cheese as well. RTK no longer has it. It is Burning who has the cheese. Daedalus done on the Razor. So IG, man, that last fight, DK definitely overstayed their welcome. Like, Burning only had one bear left, and he had a rapier, so he just went for it, and he had a basher. Almost killed Zoe before the time lapse. He got like one bash, but he couldn't actually finish it. So yep. IG end up getting a little bit ahead there, and a little, I mean a lot actually, because getting a rack at this stage in the game is a pretty darn big deal. So still, anyone can take this. That's the thing. But if you look at the gold, at least, there was a pretty big difference made up right there. The experience still pretty favorable for DK. But honestly, at an hour and a half into the game, like, that much experience doesn't seem that bad.
You see these graphs? These are things that don't matter anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, these fights don't nope, doesn't matter.
These don't matter anymore. So we're not even going to worry about that. I should honestly just leave this up. Like, this is all I'm doing, clicking around. If I just stare at the Roche Pit and leave this up, I think that about gives us the last 30 minutes of gameplay.
Oh, this is big. IG, they're moving on to DK's side of the map. This could be it. This could be the fight. The thing is, nobody has buyback except for the Windrunner. That is the only person on the map who can buy back, and he has bots. This push from IG is going to be pretty tough to stop. If Burning gets focused down, or if Super get focused down, they don't have enough damage to possibly win the fight anymore. So
there it is, the ultimate farmer. And how appropriate. In Burning's last appearance, in his last tournament appearance as a professional Dota player, the ultimate farmer, the man known as the ultimate carry, sets a record that I don't know we'll see eclipsed anytime soon. And of course, the only way to make it better is if he walks away with a win. IG, though. IG going to have some other things in mind. They did pull back, though, so not going to have it in mind now. By the way, I don't know the exact second. 96 minutes, you say. 96 minutes.
We're really close. We actually already surpassed the longest game in TI history, I think. We're like 2 minutes away from surpassing the longest game in history of competitive Dota.
Yep. We're closing in on it. It should be about 90 seconds if I'm not mistaken. It was 96 something unless I just am bad with numbers, which I am. That's why I play Dota and talk and yell in microphones for a living. But that's okay, because DK gonna smoke, make the way across, and Windrunner, you know, super hard carry. She is doing some damage, and Roshan gonna be back up very soon. DK, where you at? Where you at, Burning? There you are. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. I know you want to.
The big problem here actually is that, okay, let's just say, for example, during that last team fight, DK won the fight technically around Roshan with the Weaver having a rapier.
Yep.
With him not having the rapier anymore, having it on Ferrari is nice, but without Geminate, like, Geminate is so good for having a rapier because of how much extra damage output you get from it. Ferrari doesn't really have that. So not only is Ferrari easier to kill
there it is.
in a lot of ways, yep, there we go.
This is now the longest game in Dota 2 history. The former TI2 champions taking on the aspiring TI3 champions of DK. And it's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Been a hell of a ride. Smoke them if you got them. I know I need to. 19-30, the current kill score, and they're going to smoke again. And here we go. They're just going to rush the racks. It's something they should have done a long time ago. Just rush down the racks. Don't worry about creep waves. Don't worry about slow pushing.
Man. Oh, IG look like they're ready for this, though. They're all running towards the top lane. They got some sixth sense right now.
They're thinking about it. Hang on. Is it going to be Ancients or is it going to be Heroes? Choose wisely, Burning. Choose wisely. He will. Turns out there's the Scythe of Ice, but a good Force Staff gets YYF out of harm's way. And got creeps to kill. Creeps to kill, gold to build. Hang on. BKBs are up. Faith locked down. Watch him get blown up. No, Astral Imprison keeps him alive a little bit longer. Little bit of wishful thinking. He's going to drop immediately. Now buybacks matter. Faith does not have a buyback. Buybacks at this point on supports are costing $2,100 or 2,100 gold.
They're just going for the base.
And here we go. There's going to be a shackle on the bear. Black hole. Go YYF and Zoe, but no. It's snared out of it. Zoe, though, being blown up by Burning. Zoe's gone. ROTK will end up dropping. Burning is low as well. He's going to be hexed and cleaned up. Ferrari going to be hexed out. Do they have the damage? No. They absolutely do not. The buyback spent on the side of IG, and of course DK preemptively buying back to try to prevent the counter push. This is what
bad. This is bad for DK. There's no buybacks on any of these heroes.
Just Burning and just MMY, who has been patient as hell and not had many spells to steal.
I think that might honestly be it. I don't think Burning can defend this by himself. He doesn't even have a bear.
And IG may have let what they did. They can't do anything about it. They're going to glyph. MMY is going to get blown up. Never had a chance.
Yeah, that's game.
IG answers match point with the longest Dota 2 game in history. The defending champions